Well, surprise, surprise, I've pissed people off again. Welcome to the civically minded nationalist, or civically minded jackalope, you could call it that if you want. Episode the third. Of course, we all know what I'm referring to. Anybody who's been watching the page or is on my personal page or anything like that knows. There seems to be two camps concerning the Trump speech, and we seem to be pretty heavily divided. Both sides have really sound arguments, and we're going to get into it. Where do I fall? Why do I fall there? Things of that nature. We're going to get into Bruce Ohr's testimony a little bit, because, quite frankly, there's some interesting correlations between what Bruce Ohr has finally... The gag order was lifted. He was allowed to testify. And there's some interesting correlations between what he had to say and what the president was accused of by our lovely, now publicly deemed false report from BuzzFeed. Just some interesting things going on in there. We're going to touch on these poor teenagers and this absolute moonbat crazy native that was harassing them. And the crowd of black people there that were I don't understand why no one's talking about this in the media. There's videos out now that show what was going on before that one video of the kids smirking at the clown was put out, or a video that shows what was happening. Very, very interesting on there. And this woman is the gift that keeps on giving. Yes, I'm talking about Ocasio-Cortez. We're going to brush on it. We're going to tie in the lesson from our founding fathers about midway through the episode, talking about the Trump speech, why we are where we are, things of that nature. So let's get into it. Civically Minded Nationalist, Episode 3. All talk, or is there bite? All bark, or is there bite? So I upset some people. I'm not going to apologize because I think I'm right. I'll apologize, and I will retract my stance should I be proven wrong within the next 30 days. I don't think it's going to take longer than that for us to know exactly what's going on with the president here. I upset some of y'all. I don't care. I'm not going to lie that I upset you. The personal attacks and all that kind of stuff, some of you have apologized for them after cooler heads prevailed. Some of you didn't. I'm not worried about it. Water off a duck's back. It doesn't bother me. I have known for years that people have a fanatical dedication to Trump. That's no surprise when I say something that goes against Trump. No matter how much evidence I put out to support my stance, I'm attacked for it. When I come out and say, hey, I was wrong about him on this, this, and this, crickets. Nobody has the decency to say, hey, appreciate the apology. Glad you can see it for what it is now, that there's evidence to support what we were saying. I'm used to this. To be perfectly honest with you, dealing with the Trump fanatic fan base is no different than dealing with the Obama fanatic fan base. You don't like me saying that? I don't mind. That's how it is. So let's get into this. We all know he came out and had his speech Saturday afternoon. And I'm going to be honest with you. The two major schools of thought both have really valid viewpoints. I fall into one quite firmly. I'm interested to see what goes on. I see more talk about it. There's little hints in what Trump's been saying today that kind of support the other side of the argument. I don't want to read too far into them. I mean, we're going to talk about them, but I don't see them for what they are, or for what they're being viewed as, rather. So here we go. We started this up with, once again, my offer has been denied. Essentially is what he came out with. And he was correct. He intentionally somebody working with the president's social media feed is on point. They are paying attention to when and how the Democrats release their answers. Because someone somewhere told him, hey, hold up, don't do the speech yet. I refuse to think that this was all Trump. It might be. He could have. I don't think it was. I think one of the Twitter handlers, one of the people who managed the Twitter account, went, hey, hold up. I guarantee you they already have a release ready to go, and you'll catch one of the big names auto-publishing the release at a certain time. For those of you who don't know, on social media with verified accounts, premium accounts, things of that nature, you can totally set up when you can pre-type your answer to something or pre-type a post, load up a picture, and set it to post at a certain time. Okay? And that's what they noticed the Democrats were doing with a lot of this. So with the last couple of responses with given statements and whatnot, hey, you notice that it's on the hour? You notice that it's on the half hour? You notice that it's on the quarter hour? They're setting their stuff up beforehand. Let's catch them. Let's see who we catch with an automated, prefabricated response to this speech. Delay it until 4:05 Eastern. You said you were going to do it at 3. Delay it till 4:05 Eastern. Sure enough, Nancy Pelosi auto-tweeted 5 minutes before he actually gave his speech, her response to his speech. That's pretty impressive there, time traveler Nancy. Or maybe you're just as bat crap crazy as we all think you are. No, you are. Moving forward. He comes out and he says, here's the problem. Once again, reiterates a bunch of the points he already made a week and a half ago. Goes through, says these things, does these things, goes over the whole statistics again, and then says, here's what I'm proposing. We're going to work with DACA. We're going to work with TPS. We're going to work with doing these partial segmented walls for the $5.7 billion worth this year. We're going to go through and do all this stuff. Take it or leave it. They left it. Side A says, this is good. He's putting Pelosi in a box. He's undermining her voter base yet again. He's now going after the illegals that are in this country and swaying them because at the end of the day, and again, some of this is going to come as direct quotes from some of you, because you support this argument and you buy this argument. This is where you're at with it. He's going after the illegals and getting them because at the end of the day, they are concerned about what affects them directly. A partial wall is better than no wall. This is the art of the deal. You can't secure the border overnight. All these kinds of things that have been going out as the reasons why you guys support this. It boils down to school of thought 1 being, I'm going to trust anything he says until he gives me a reason to not trust it. If we were talking about anything else other than politics, I would probably give you the benefit of the doubt. I don't care what your opinion of the man is. The facts are, he is in politics now. He's already proven that he's not a statesman because he's backed down on Second Amendment with bump stock bans and talking about understanding the arguments for against high capacity magazines, which is a dumb term. No such thing as a high capacity magazine. You either have magazines or you have belt fed. Stupid phrase. Anyways, he's backed off on those kinds of things. He's backed off on some other topics and all that kind of stuff. That is politicking. Plain and simple. If it was anyone else's name but Trump, if Mitch McConnell went out, and as a matter of fact, I think he did. I think Mitch McConnell made statements about bump stocks, and everyone was like, "You traitor! You horrible person! Read my Second Amendment!" And then Trump comes out and says, "Yeah, no, we're gonna go ahead and ban the bump stocks. The bump stocks are a bad deal. We're not gonna go with the bump stocks because the bump stocks are a bad deal. I promise you, the bump stock." And everyone's like, "Oh, okay. You say, yes, daddy. Yes, daddy. Okay." Stop. Okay? It's politicking. The man is a politician. He is a business-minded politician. He is a politician who has real-world experience. Something very few politicians can say. Matter of fact, I think the only politicians that can't say it are the politicians that I happen to like somewhat. Trey Gowdy, for instance. There's a man who's been in life. He's seen the real world. He knows what's going on, what's happening. I respect him. End of the day, that is the basis for argument A. I'm going to believe what he says until he gives me ample reason to go the other way. Me personally, I have ample reason. Once a politician lies to me once a politician doubles back and backtracks on any topic, I don't care what it is, without being able to go in and say, yeah, you know what? I've had to reevaluate my stance on this. Here's the research I've done. Here's why. If anybody can counter this research, please, by all means. That I would respect. That's not what happened. So I'm done taking him at his word. Period. School 2 is where I am, and we had just actually kind of touched on it here. I have no recollection of the political era of Reagan, okay? I was alive. I kind of sort of remember the hill in my backyard in New Hampshire. Not even sure if it counts. I remember moving to Omaha. I think Reagan was out by the time I moved to Omaha, though. I think. I'm not positive. I do remember parts of the televised debate sitting in my living room between Clinton and 41. I do remember that. And Ross Perot. I always thought the dude looked goofy. I remember my dad sitting in his recliner. My mom was sitting on the couch. And I was like hiding behind the back of the couch. Like my parents magically couldn't see me because the couch was there. And I was like, doing that. And I remember seeing him then and going, that guy's funny looking. I wasn't wrong. So that's what's going on politically for me. That's my background. That's as far back as I go. My first political memories are Clinton and Bush, 41. I know nothing. That means I'm gonna hit you with some quotes. Here is my political upbringing. Read my lips. I did not have sexual relations with that woman. Freedom will be defended. If you like your doctor, you can keep your doctor. You get the point? My entire upbringing has been 100% purely, totally, and utterly corruption. That's it. That's all I know is political corruption. That's all I've got. That's the only experience I have. And because of that, yes, I can go back to Reagan. Yes, I can go back before Jimmy Peanut. Yes, I can go back to the presidencies between the Great Wars. Yes, I can go back to the historical stuff and like the Civil War. I can go back and review this stuff. You know what I find? There's very, very, very few moments where it wasn't corrupt politicking. Very few. That's just the truth of it. You might not like it. You can find highlights and lowlights all the way through. But at the end of the day, this corruption has been in our political system for a long time. And it's the only thing I've been exposed to. I would love to believe that Trump is going to be a highlight. I would love to believe that we are going to be ushering in an era of border security and prosperity unlike we've ever known. He's already got the prosperity thing down. We are on the up and up economically, folks. I love that. It's great. Bottom line is, easily 30% of the votes this man got to put his butt in the seat was because he said he was going to secure our border with a wall. Let's look at the arguments. We're going to start with the Pelosi in a box argument. He's putting Pelosi in a box. Don't you see that? He's closing down the sides. The back is moving forward. She has nowhere to go. She's going to bleed constituents. All this kind of stuff about Pelosi and the Democrats. what I see is that he already had that. I don't see how you don't see that. Last week's speech was, or the week before last speech, was 10 times the speech that Saturday was. You want to talk about winning the hearts and minds? Not Saturday. Week before. He nailed it. He crushed it. Anyone with 2 gray cells that you were going to reach on the political spectrum, ladies and gentlemen, he didn't reach Saturday. He reached them a week and a half ago. Okay? And frankly, the speech was good enough a week and a half ago. Anybody he's still trying to convince isn't going to come around. They're just not. He had Pelosi and Chuck U. Schumer shoved in such a small box that they couldn't sweat comfortably, okay? It was great. And whatever fractional iota he tightened that box down on Saturday wasn't worth the delay. Period. It just wasn't. He didn't gain anything significant from that. The reason why, this was actually going to be another point on my outline here. We're just going to get into it. We're going to actually mash those 2 points together. The reason being is that you still believe, if you ascribe to argument A, you still believe that there are people on the left, a large enough amount of people on the left, that can be rationalized with and reasoned with and shown logical arguments. You are wrong. I'm sorry. I know you don't want to hear it. I know Cousin Joe is like the greatest guy at parties and he's a ton of fun and you would love to see him come to the political light. He ain't gonna. Stop it. I can count. I've been on the political scene for almost a decade now. Between pages, debates, things of that. Really, that's okay. We'll say almost a decade is where we're going to leave that. Almost a decade. I can count the number of liberals I have swayed to the opposite side of any singular argument, just one argument on one hand. There were 2 times on Cam Vabo. There was 1 time on 1 Million Moms for Gun Rights. 10 years, 3 people on one argument, one singular argument, and I surely didn't get them to vote red. It isn't happening. These people are not interested in the logical arguments. They are interested in the emotional indoctrination that they ascribe to. It's that simple. You cannot rationalize with these people. You can't. We are past that. We've been past it since I was in high school. You can't go anywhere with it. You have to accept and understand that. He is not winning anyone over. Doesn't matter if it's someone sitting here on the other side of this screen watching me. Doesn't matter if it's someone who decided today I'm going to get a taste of what the other side is doing and I'm going to watch some Fox News or some Blaze or some Brett, you know what I mean? Why do I always butcher his name? Anyways, it doesn't matter. All the way up to I'm going to watch the president's speech and I'm going to listen to what he has to say. Folks, it doesn't matter. No one is swaying these people. Ben Carson's the most likable guy that I've ever heard speak. He's got a genuine warm smile. He's got open, just friendly, bright eyes. He's got a body language that makes you just want to talk and listen to the guy. He's not winning anybody over. Ben Carson ain't won over anybody. What makes you think anybody else can? Don't give me that. They are indoctrinated and they will stand against the Trump or conservative agenda in this country, and I hate that word. I don't like there being agendas, but it's the truth. There are two agendas in this country, the Democrat agenda and the Republican agenda, period. Point being, they will stand against that agenda until their final dying breath. Why? Because they are told orange man bad. That's it. So no, you're not tightening a box. You're not swaying me any on this. Excuse me. DACA. Let's talk about DACA, people. He just got DACA on his side. No, he did not. No, he did not. I understand your logic. Again, totally logical argument. These people are going to vote blue because their emotions tell them to. When it comes to, is my ass staying in the United States of America, or am I going back to Mexico, the Dominican Republic, Haiti, anywhere in Central America, anywhere in South America, whatever, they're going to side with what keeps them in America. Man, I wish you were right across the board. I cannot tell you how badly I hope, how much I wish you were right. You're wrong. For the same reason I just listed. These people are being indoctrinated in the exact same system that the previous group I talked about is. These people have lived their whole lives with no consequences. They've never known consequences for being here illegally. You think they're scared of some white guy on the TV saying they're going to get deported? They've heard that 100 times growing up. And they're still here. They don't care what side of the argument Trump is on. You're going to get, at best, 20%. Realistically, 10% of DACA and TPS going, okay, this buys me some time. I might be able to finish my school and do my citizenship and actually be here legally, get in here legally, do my thing legally, if I support this. That means I'm going to throw my lot in with Trump. At best, 20%. At best. And that's just the numbers. Folks, I'm going to ask you something. Cast your mind back to Bush. When Bush was addressing this kind of stuff. He would address it, he would speak firmly about it, and then he would go the other way. He would compromise. I remember, again, sitting in my living room, watching my mother watch Fox News about something to do with, it wasn't DACA at the time, I don't remember what the acronym was at the time, going, how dare he turn his back on the American people? We don't need to negotiate with illegal aliens in our country. Now, all of a sudden, this is a great tactic? Well, there's differences between A and B. There's this, that, and the other. Are they citizens of the United States? No? Then I don't give a rat's ass what it is that the differences are. The President of the United States does not need to appease illegal aliens. He needs to appease law-abiding citizens. There's a reason for that we're going to touch on here as we wrap up the speech conversation. Asinine. That is the most bogus argument I have heard yet. This is great tactics. Appeasing these illegals. He's going to sway votes. One, they're illegals. They don't get a vote. Period. They can call Pelosi and they can rant and rave and do all this kind of stuff. Guess what? Pelosi's reaction to it is the same as every Republican senator and congressman the last time we were having this conversation of, you're an illegal immigrant. I don't have to listen to what you say. Guarantee it, that is her reaction. She doesn't care about these people. She cares about keeping their butts in the right states to garner votes in those states. And the piddly 10 at best 20% that we're talking about here, changing votes over this one issue, she ain't even batting an eye, folks. Argument the third. Partial wall is better than nothing. Logic? I just shot a pen at my face. Did you see that? Guess what? I've got a spare because I'm a fidgeter and I like having something in my hands that I can... We're just going to end that train of thought right there. This whole argument of partial wall is better than nothing. Okay, logically, you're making sense. You're right. Let me tell you about the partial wall I have experience with. It's right here in El Paso. It's partial barrier, steel barrier. I would bet the steel barrier between El Paso and Juarez is actually better than the steel barriers that they're drafting up here because they're bending over for the Democrats. I would bet you it's a better barrier than what they're talking about. You know what I watched while I was working with some local folks down here? I'm not going to put names or organizations out because government. I watched them walk right around it. Watched them go to the nearest small town house. Great, they didn't go to El Paso. You can sit here and tout the illegal immigration is down 92% in El Paso. Guess what? They don't care how big the city is. They'll go to the nearest small town east of El Paso, west of El Paso. They'll flood into Las Cruces. They'll flood into Fabens, wherever, okay? Water, resupply, moving on out. Okay? Most of them don't like staying in Texas. They never have liked staying in Texas. Texas is a dangerous place for an illegal alien to set up shop. They don't want to be here. They want to truck it on up, find some work as they migrate over to New York, over to Massachusetts, over to Rhode Island, over to California, over to Washington. That's where they go. They don't want to stay in Texas. Never have. The ones that stay in Texas usually have some type of legal paperwork to say, I'm here for work, I'm here, open immigrant, I'm here, documented immigrant, whatever. Getting their paperwork set up. There's a reason they stay here, okay? Not long ago, recent history, not like last week, but, not decades ago, we just found more tunnels that they've had to admit down here. Yeah, probably used for drug and human trafficking. Right under the wall. They go in the tunnel in Juarez. They come out of the tunnel in El Paso. They load up on a truck. Bye. Why? Because these are not large interconnected structures. That concrete only goes so deep. When the concrete only goes so deep, it's all soft earth underneath there. It's very easy to dig and mine through there and get past surveillance equipment. Okay? If you're not either having to go through concrete or go through bedrock, it's not a solid enough barrier. It's not the wall you and I were promised in 2015 and 2016. Counter to that argument, just real quick, I just want to touch on this. A lot of people I've seen go, these partial walls don't work. Look at Yuma. Look at the hundreds of them that just tunneled right under it in Yuma. Guys, that's a different type of wall. That's like the temporary ones that they've set up in Texas that are designed to just slow vehicles down. Okay. Typically, they're actually designed not just to slow vehicles down, but to also give a barrier of visibility between cartel hot areas where they've got 50 cals, they've got RPGs, they got all that stuff well in range of our border, and our border patrol agents need to be able to do their job, but also be out of line of sight. Okay, those are the two reasons for they're not designed to stop people. So I get what you're saying. A, they're not designed to stop people, and B, again, I don't think those are the barriers that they're talking about with this $5.7 billion for this year. Last part of the argument here, real quick, and then we got to move on to another topic. I've been on this for 30 minutes now. Well, 20 minutes now. You can't just secure the border overnight. Guys, again, your logic is infallible. Group A's logic is infallible. You are right. You cannot just secure the border overnight. I wholeheartedly agree with you. Anybody on side B of the argument wholeheartedly agrees with you. You can't just secure the border overnight. There's no chance. This is a years-long project. We're tying this back into the first argument. It's a years-long project, and I'm waiting for you to put Nancy and Chuck in a box you already had them in? No. The time for him to exercise executive jurisdiction over something and say, I am going to fund this, we are going to divert funds, we're going to put whoever he intends to use, Army Corps of Engineers, whoever, we're going to put butts on the border and start building, whether you like it or not. Now we don't have to worry about it. Now the government can reopen because we're not going to allocate funds out of this. We're going to allocate funds out of what's already been sent to Department of Defense for, whatever. He's going to handle it. He's going to do what he needs to do executively. Okay? Yes, he has the authority. No, they're not going to get any... If he says that, they can go, you didn't get congressional approval. We're going to vote on this. You're not going to be allowed to do it. He can flip them the bird and carry on. One, even if they try to do that, it's not going to get enough traction. It'll get through the House. It'll never get through the Senate. Two, even if it does get through the Senate, it's really irrelevant because he's just going to let it go to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court's going to say, yeah, actually, he's within his rights from the executive aspect to be able to do this. Sorry. Done. Any argument you might have had against that has been eroded and undermined due to precedents set during the Obama administration. Karma. To wrap this topic up, folks on side A, you're right. Okay? Logically, you are completely right. The problem is you are not dealing with a logical enemy. I say enemy because, everyone's like, don't use such divisive language when you're talking about citizens of the United States. Folks, they are enemies of the Constitution. They are my enemies. I swore an oath to uphold the Constitution from enemies, both foreign and domestic. They are domestic enemies of the Constitution. I can't see them any other way than that. Their conduct tells me that they are the enemy. Period. There's no other discussion to have about it. Moving on with the argument we were talking about, I wrote down some things here, and really I've already touched on almost all of this. But again, these people that you are thinking are being swayed by the president tightening the box, by appealing to DACA, by appealing and appeasing TPS, by doing all these things, these people do not care. They don't care how logical the argument is. They care about their emotions and how those emotions have been undermined and destroyed and crippled by the indoctrination of the left in our society. You have just as much chance winning a logical argument with a liberal communist as you have going into a mental ward and winning an argument with somebody who's debating the size of Pluto with the pink elephants in the room. Okay? It's just that simple. You're not gaining any ground on the opposite side of the argument. You have all the support you need right here on our side of the argument. Secure the border, get it locked down. None of this partial stuff they can just go around. Put the border wall up that you, President Trump, promised your constituents. It's that simple. Hey, moving on. let's talk about this native. What the heck is his name? See, we don't need that article anymore. Let's look around here. That's occasional cortex. Ah, the article's gone and I didn't open it up. Shoot. Okay, this name. You guys know who I'm talking about. I'm sorry, I don't have his name in front of me right now. You guys know who I'm talking about, okay? He staged this video. He's got this group of black adults going after all these people, doing all these things, getting these kids in a position where it kind of, sort of looks like they're harassing this old Native American guy. Not really. Just kind of a playful smirk of, why are you in my face? Okay, the kid almost looks like, please hit me. Please. Please make contact with me so I can rock your world, old man. You have forgotten who you are and what's going on, okay? Then this clown comes out and to try to validate his stance says he's a Marine Recon Ranger from Vietnam. Now, I'm sure you guys have already seen this, and anybody with 2 gray cells who served in the military has already done the math, but someone actually further did the math and said, first off, Marine Force Recon wasn't a thing. It wasn't called Recon Rangers. Rangers are an Army title. Recon is Marine. Marine Force Recon didn't come about till 1984. Pretty sure Vietnam was done by that time. Let's look at just his age. This dude would have had to have enlisted in the Marine Corps at 15. Not unheard of. Not likely. Also rather laughable given the fact that at the end of the day, this dude tried to say he did 2 combat tours in Vietnam. You got through Marine boot camp. You went to Special Forces. Got through whatever the Marine selection process is. I don't even know if the Marines call it selection. In the Army, it's selection. You got through that process for the Marine Corps. You shipped over, did a year in the suck, came back, shipped over again, did another year in the suck, and came back. No, you did not. Someone needs to do a single record search on this clown. I don't have the website to be able to do that anymore. Seriously, someone needs to pull up. Someone needs to just find this dude in a corner and say, until you set a time and date to show your DD-214, you're gonna be in the suck for real. It's gonna be bad because you're a liar. Stolen valor, freaking. And this is the problem with the radicalized native populace in this country. At this point, let's just be honest, they just make up and say whatever they want to say, and they just get away with it because no one has the testicular fortitude to call them out on it. All this goes down, then the real videos start coming out, where people are seeing this group of black adults, incest babies, I'm going to go through a list here, close it out, close the kids' ears, get them out of the room because there's some nasty stuff said at the end of this. Incest babies, crackers, racist, bigots, 3, 2, 1, mute, faggots, all this horrible stuff that's just being taught. By the way, I thought that word was a strict no-go for the left. I'm pretty sure that that word, like if anyone says that word, the left is like ready to skin them and crucify what's left. Pretty sure. All this stuff happening. This dude getting in this poor kid's face, beating that drum right in his face, trying to get him to flinch, trying to get him to buckle down. I took kudos to that young man. No joke. Standing his ground, basically giving this dude a mental middle finger. You don't intimidate me. You're not scaring me. Like I said, I see in his face. Please let the drum, anything, hit me. Please let it hit me. That's what's going on with that. You know, the only person that I've seen actually backtrack on it is, I just saw a blurb. I think this is, let me open this up to make sure. Yeah, that's what it is. Jamie Lee Curtis. Hardcore lib, but she at least had the presence of mind to say, I totally jumped the gun. I apologize to the young man in that video and all the kids that were there. I see the whole picture now. That's a horrible, horrible thing you guys had to endure. I'm very sorry. This is Jamie Lee Curtis. End of the day, she don't matter. It's unfortunate. Thank you, Miss Curtis. Not that you're ever going to see or hear this, but thank you, Miss Jamie Lee Curtis, for doing the right thing and coming out and saying, I was wrong. I jumped the gun. I hope you guys get things taken care of. So sorry. Appreciate that. Again, she may be one of the few liberals in this world that you could get to see your side of one argument. You're not going to change your vote, but you might be able to have one decent debate with Jamie Lee Curtis, and I like that about her. I'm going to leave it at that. Moving forward. Disclaimer, actually, before we get into this, to wrap things up and give you a smile to send you on your way. Disclaimer about that. I do not group... I have a very good friend of mine who lives right here in El Paso. I call her Ma. Miss Marie. Who is a JFK Democrat. Tried and true, dyed in the wool, JFK Democrat. I do not lump JFK Democrats, the very few that are still here, in with the liberals that I typically categorize. Okay? JFK Democrats, they're logical, they're good people, they understand what's going on. They just have such a heartfelt outcrying for what is acceptable and what is not in the way we handle things, that they're open to letting a little bit too much government in. Okay? I don't fault you for that. That's your opinion. I have my opinion. We'll have to agree to disagree. Just wanted to put that disclaimer out. JFK Democrats are not the liberals that I'm going into. Probably going to put that in the description of this video. Probably should have said that back at the beginning of this, but that's okay. We're going to wrap up with some smiles. This woman is the gift that keeps on giving. Oh, she's fun. She'd have been a great bartender. I'd have gone to have a drink every Saturday night at the bar that she kept. Not even joking. She is... Damn, she's funny. She's so good. I am, of course, talking about Ocasio Cortex. Ocasio Cortex has given us yet another couple of little gems. I love this, by the way. Now, this is from Fox News. She spoke out Monday about the urgency to take climate change, comparing it to World War II. I guess most of the World War II vets are about done anyways, so really, for how historically ignorant the majority of our society is at this point, you're not disenfranchising a whole lot of the populace. Millennials and people, Gen Z, and all these folks that will come after us are looking up, and we're like, the world is going to end. Okay, come after us. I read that wrong the first time. Come after, as in, they're going to follow up in the political spectrum, okay? This is the next generation to take charge. Which, by the way, I'm pretty sure she's my age, I think, or close to it. She might be Gen X, but she's close. Anyways, folks come after us, blah, 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 blah. The world is going to end in 12 years if we don't address climate change, and your biggest issue is how are we going to pay for it? This is our World War II. Start the clock, folks. 2031, we're apparently all going to be dead from climate change because the world's going to end. When I say they are not the party of science like they claim, when I say they are the party of ignorance and emotion, this is what I'm talking about. You idiot. You grew up listening to Al Gore tell us that all the polar bears and penguins were going to be dead, that there was going to be no ice cap on either end of the Earth, okay, either pole of the Earth. There was going to be no ice caps. We were going to be flooded. Everything was going to be underwater. You grew up listening to the idiots say that. You don't have an excuse. You don't. There's no excuse for you and your ignorance anymore. You're like a party favor. Period. That's so sexist. No. For all that, she's a Democrat. I don't know that that's actually a woman. Okay? Period. She is a liberal Democrat. I have no clue that that's actually a woman. Period. I don't want proof either. I'm going to be honest with you. Everybody joking around about finding the old pictures of her and all that. I don't want to see them. I'll take your word for it. If she ends up being a woman, cool. I don't know that for sure. So you can't claim sexism beyond that. You guys don't believe in genders anyways, so how can there be sexism if there's no genders? Point being, she is the gift that keeps on giving. So go ahead, start the clock. We got 12 years, folks. 11 years, 363 days. We're going to die. We're all going to die. The world going to blow up. It done blowed up on us, folk. Shut up. Anywho. That's what we got as far as the news goes. I want to wrap this back up real quick. I'm going to jump back. And I know this is long. This is going to be about 50 minutes by the time I'm over with it. Thank you for bearing with me if you've watched the actual episode. We're going to wrap up with the speech, okay? The Trump speech from Saturday. And why I do not believe in the core of my being trusting him in a political position is the right answer. I'd like to throw out some names to you. Okay? Alexander Hamilton, James Madison, John Jay, Patrick Henry, Robert Yates, Samuel Byron, Benjamin Franklin, and many others. Thomas Jefferson. If those names don't mean anything to you, this probably isn't a good podcast for you to be watching. Let's see if I can pull this up or not. No, I can't. That's okay. Point being, there's the Jefferson letters and the Adams letters, and the Federalist Papers and the Anti-Federalist Papers. And I'm sorry, Adams letters might not be ones that the Jefferson letters had a co-component. They were the Adams letters. Just so you know. You know what the common thread amongst all of that is? All of it? Be afraid of a government with too much authority. Okay? Be afraid of a conglomerate government. That's the point the Founding Fathers held in mind every moment they were debating what would go into this Constitution and our Bill of Rights. Okay? That is at the forefront of their mind. I am not Thomas Jefferson. I am not Adams. I am not Jay. I'm none of these men. These men functionally thought at a level that I'm going to hope to attain by the time I'm like 80. By then, I'm going to be too old for anybody to listen to anyways. I do not have their wisdom and their knowledge and their understanding. I do not have the experience they went through just freeing a country from tyranny. I don't have that. Yet. I may yet gain that perspective. The point being is if these people tell us to never trust someone in the government, you can be sure I'm not going to trust anybody 200 years removed from these great men who's in today's government. And I don't think you should either. That's all I'm saying. Grain of salt, take it or leave it. That's what I'm saying. Disclaimer that I was advised to put in here and that was brought up. Please bear in mind these videos, all videos recorded and posted previously and all videos recorded and posted afterwards are opinion pieces. It's my opinion, taking the information that's coming in, putting out an opinion. That's what it is. Thank you guys very much for watching. I really, really appreciate it. I know 50 minutes straight is kind of long. I really appreciate it. It means a lot to me. Please support, like, follow, subscribe. Get on the Facebook page, like it, share it, do everything there. Subscribe to the YouTube channel so that you can get the independent videos that I put up here that don't necessarily get posted on YouTube. The short little snippets and tidbits. Please, please, please. Really hoping to grow this. Really hoping to get some traction. It just takes one video getting in front of the right set of eyes to make this happen, to make this dream a reality for me. I'm going to keep putting out the content. I'm going to trust you guys to help get it in front of those eyes. Don't be stupid. Don't be a communist. Kind of interchangeable, isn't it? Episode 4 coming at the end of the week. Stand by to stand by.